Hey everyone, Action666 here, everyone's favorite hillbilly in Japan. Come on in, kick your feet up, throw back some of my Kool-Aid. Got some more quality Back 4 Blood content for you today, but before we get into that, first and foremost, I am a Twitch streamer. I stream 4 days a week. The link is on the screen, right down there. Make sure you swing by, check out the stream, say hello sometime. Alright, now that's out of the way. Like I said, I've got some more Back 4 Blood content for you today. Something new, since the new update dropped, I figured I would roll in with one of the new decks that uses at least one of the new cards. Just guys, give you a feel of what you can do. And I also went a little out of the box with it. We starting off with the melee deck, just kind of makes sense, it's kind of my thing. We're going to be showcasing a T5 expired T5 melee deck. For those not familiar with expired T5, it is one of the new cards making the rounds. It's a little OP at the moment, but still, we're going to make some content with it, and we're going to throw it on a melee deck, which many people are thinking, what's the point? It's already a horde clearing thing. It just gives you that much more horde management. So, instead of me talking about it, let's go ahead and jump over and I'll show you the deck, and you can see some gameplay going with it, and you can really tell me what you think about it. Alright folks, there is the T5 melee deck on the screen. Those that want to stick around, go ahead, copy, paste it, throw it in the game. All I ask, as usual, let me know what you think about it. Come back, put a comment in the YouTube video, on my stream, in my Discord, however you get me that feedback, just let me know what you think, any improvements you'd like to make to the deck, anything like that. So, alright, those sticking around, let's go ahead and break down the deck. So, this is a very out-of-the-box melee deck. They don't seem like they'd work really well together, being expired T5 and melee. You figured they would kind of step on each other's toes, but they actually go together really well. T5 cleaning up the majority of the horde, using melee to clean up anything that's left over, or in the off chance another horde gets triggered and T5's on cooldown, you have no problems managing the horde because you are melee. It's just a very strong horde management deck. Goes to weather really, really well. Now, the first card in this deck, this would be a big surprise, is Meth Head. You'll notice, anybody that's been following my YouTube videos, or for a while, or watching me on stream, Share the Wealth is always my first card. In the coming decks, and even some of the decks I'm updating currently on my YouTube channel, Share the Wealth is kind of getting tossed to the side. I'm having to sacrifice economy card from a lot of my decks, just from the way I build my decks. Just kind of a meta shakeup, I guess. There's so many good cards out there now, and especially in melee, one card in particular is really required now in melee, so it kind of tossed things up a little bit. So for now, Share the Wealth is gone. I'm sure as things calm down, or as things change, it'll find its way back, or some kind of economy card will find its way back, or I'll have some decks in the future that have it. We'll see, but for now, first card, Meth Head. Meth Head's very strong. Gotta have it in every single melee deck that's out there. It is just required. I mean, that's 50% melee speed, 50% melee stamina efficiency once it's fully stacked. Really, really important. There is a bug on it currently, but we're not going to touch on that too much because it'll get fixed. I mean, the only thing it's affecting right now is there's a separate stack for bash in your melee weapon, and you only can see one of the stacks. It's not that big a deal, honestly. It's a little noticeable at first, but they'll fix it, so I'm not going to really touch on that too much. So the next card, now this is Brazen. This is one of those cards that can, you can leave it or keep it. I highly recommend keeping it. It is one of those cards you can sacrifice if you want to put something else in there. But in saying that, and it's funny, the footage in the background when I first started that act, I didn't have Brazen in this deck. I actually took it out. Can't remember what I had in its place. Might have been Sadistic. Might have had Sadistic there, if I'm not mistaken. I found out it wasn't really needed later, and I actually put Brazen back in it. But the footage in the background, I really noticed when I didn't have Brazen that I kind of felt more like a T5 deck and a mediocre melee deck at best. Because I was a lot slower, I ran out of stamina quicker, It didn't really feel like a true melee deck but later in the act I actually found Brazen, and the footage in the video is actually me with Brazen, which it felt like a difference between night and day. It was a great example of not having it and then finding it and really noticing the difference. Once I got Brazen, I felt like the T5 portion, the melee portion really came together, had that chemistry that felt right for a hybrid deck. I felt like an actual melee, and I had T5 to help support that melee. I highly recommend Brazen. Pretty much in any melee deck. If you absolutely have to sacrifice it, go for it. But if you can keep it in there and get it, keep it. Very, very strong card. Alright, next card. Another highly recommended and required card for melee, adrenaline fueled. Now, a lot of people know, you can make an argument for adrenaline fueled rhythmic breathing. If you're familiar with my channel or even my stream, a lot of my non-melee and non-Holly melee decks, I go with rhythmic breathing just for the extra stamina. But with Holly, I go with adrenaline fueled because she already has the extra stamina. It's just preference or choice. Either you can't go wrong with either one. Adrenaline fuel is probably the stronger of the two, but definitely the stronger of the two. Like I said, it just comes down to gameplay choice. But adrenaline fueled in this case, which allows you to restore stamina while using your melee and getting kills. Of course, it works with guns too, but it definitely has it leans towards melee a lot more than it does guns. Alright, next, we'll go ahead and toss both these cards on the screen. We got Vanguard and Face Your Fears. These are your melee health restoration cards. We do not have Battle Lust, could not fit it in there, would love to have it in there. It's very strong, of course, especially since the changes been made in the update. Now restores 0.125 trauma instead of 0.1, which means you technically only need, without any healing efficiency, you only need 8 kills to restore 1 trauma. But it is a really good card. But I did drop it because I wanted to keep Vanguard because it has better team support, allows you to heal the team. Just sacrifices. And of course, Face Your Fears. Gotta have that. Obviously, it allows you to generate temp health. Technically, you can get rid of Face Your Fears, but there's a lot of setup for that. Everyone would have to have well rested on. You'd have to have a lot of healing efficiency to turn a lot of your regular melee healing into temp health. Not worth it. Just keep Face Your Fears. You don't lean on your teammates as hard. Just here. Face Your Fears. Keep it in there. Alright, next, go ahead and toss these 3 cards on the screen. These are healing efficiency cards. We got EMT Bag, Antibiotic Ointment, and Well Rested. Had to sacrifice Medical Expert. I came down to toss up between Well Rested or Medical Expert. I chose Well Rested. Just felt a little more versatile. But obviously we got EMT Bag, 50% healing efficiency. Antibiotic Ointment, 25% healing efficiency. And then Well Rested. Kept the Well Rested over the Medical Expert just for the fact of the team overheal. That if in the off chance that anybody else on your team happens to have it, say you like your doc, that's 40% team overheal. You'll notice that. It will definitely help come in handy when you're building up temp health with melee. Very strong, very, very good. And you still get 5% from it for team or for healing efficiency. So instead of sitting at 95 with the 4 healing efficiency cards, we're sitting with 3 of them with just 80%, which is still really good. You could make an argument with replacing Well Rested with Medical Expert as well, because obviously it stacks with teammates as well. I went Well Rested just because of the overheal. If you want to go with Medical Expert, be my guest. That's just my 2 cents there. Alright, next we're going to toss these three cards on the screen. Motorcycle Helmet, Spiky Bits, and Scar Tissue. This is our damage resistance portion of this deck. Motorcycle Helmet, 15% damage resistance. Really strong. We don't care about aiming down sights or melee. And then 10 health. Can never go wrong with 10 health. And of course then Spiky Bits. 20% still does the 20% damage resistance when holding a melee weapon. Care about ammo capacity. They did nerf it a little bit. They adjusted it from 20 melee damage to 15 melee damage. Not a big deal, honestly. You won't even notice. I've heard it makes you do like 1 less damage to festering or something like that. You won't even notice. It's still a really good card, and you can still get away with just clearing out commons using just Spiky Bits. It's still really good. And of course, Scar Tissue. Now this is a little different. This is kind of the meta shakeup. I do highly recommend putting scar tissue in every melee deck you make. English is hard. It's a lot stronger now. It's not so much that the card is stronger as it is things in the game have changed to make it feel stronger. I guess in the previous update, acid was supposed to be doing more damage than it was. I don't know if they applied that and it didn't stick. Well, either way, it's sticking now. You'll notice, if you haven't already noticed yet, Blighted Ridden, when they die, their acid pools are doing a lot more damage than they previously were. It is very noticeable, and if you don't have scar tissue, you will melt fairly quickly. Can you get by without scar tissue? Yes. The first time I went through Act 5 No Hope, I didn't have it, didn't even realize acid was doing that much damage just by natural positioning. But you will eventually find yourself in a situation where you catch yourself in a lot of acid, and you will definitely notice that damage. On a side note with scar tissue, with that plus 50% acid resistance that they added to it, quote unquote, apparently that was actually there in the previous update. The text wasn't. Just nobody really realized it because there, acid wasn't doing as much damage as it is now, and so you just didn't need it. Now with acid doing more damage and people tossing it in the deck, that 50% acid resistance, which the text is now there for it, is very, very noticeable. Acid basically tickles at this point. It's kind of like the old acid. And of course, it still makes you take one less damage from all ridden, which applies after your damage resistance. So with Spiky Bits and Motorcycle Helmet and Holly's passive of 5%, you're walking around with 40% damage resist. So the 40% takes off some of that hit, and then Scar Tissue takes another point off that hit. So very, very good card. Highly recommend it for any melee deck going forward, unless they ever make acid not hurt as much. Very, very strong card. All right, we will be tossing all four of the next card on the screen because they all relate to each other. Expired T5, Pyro, Hyper-Focused, and Ammo Mule. This is where the deck gets twisted a little bit. This is the T5 portion of the deck. Expired T5. This is one of those new cards, new gadget cards they implemented. It is, I can guarantee you, it is going to get adjusted in the next coming patch, or nerfed as we like to call it. Even I have to admit, it is very strong in its current iteration. But for the time being, I'm going to have fun with it. Creates a cloud that deals 8 fire damage to weak spots every second. Costs 50 AR ammo. Replaces your support slot. That fire damage is affected by Pyro, which increases your fire damage by 100%. And also, kills with fire grant you 3 temporary health. They work really, really well together. And on top of that, that 8 fire damage on T5 is also affected by weak spot damage, hence hyper-focused. Plus 50% weak spot damage. So it gets even stronger. Hence why I did have Sadistic in the deck previously. Took it out, wasn't really needed. Because I was really worrying about common and festering and riot or military common anyways. So I kept hyper-focused at least, just for that little extra kick. This little combo is really broken. Expired T5, once you activate it, makes this nasty little red cloud. What also makes it very disgusting is when you run around, said cloud follows you. So it gives you insane push potential, because you can push right through a giant swarm of commons, because it'll just annihilate them, kill them, drop them, and build your temp health at the same time. Or even if you're holding up for a horde, you activate it, it clears out a large percentage of the horde before you actually have to deal with the horde itself. Hence the melee portion of the deck, obviously. It's really, really strong. Very, very good card. I have a few decks that'll be coming out that have it in there. That'll be kind of fun. Just something to play around with. Got a few decks coming out in the future that'll have all the a few of the gadgets in there, just different takes and different things, ways to play the game. But this is very strong. And of course, the final of that 4 little combo is Ammo Mule. This is just there solely to support expired T5. It's ammo consumption. Because it does use, was it 50 AR ammo a pop. This just increases your AR ammo so that you don't have to bother your teammates as much for AR ammo when you're activating it and using it. And we don't really care about the 5% move speed going down. You can compensate for that, it's not a big deal. But that is the T5 melee deck. It is a little out of the box, weird little melee deck, but I found it appropriate that I would, my first video post patch would be a melee deck, since melee is kind of my thing. I will be getting some more videos to you guys out there using the new gadgets and stuff like that and cards. See what other kind of fun and shenanigans we can get into. But until then, folks, happy gaming, keep drinking that Kool-Aid, and peace.